Hello again, welcome back to another T3 Netrunner production. I am Ben. On the left we have Gerry, on the right we have John. This is another game from the top 8 at the Blackstone Owl Store Championship. This is game number 5 on your bracket. And we're going right into it there. John on the left playing IG, Industrial Genomics, installing and rezzing the Turtlebacks. I expect we're going to have some more remotes coming out in no time. On the left, and there's one gaining John $1 right off the bat. And on the left, we have Gerry again playing Hayley Kaplan, Universal Scholar. So we'll see a lot of stuff, and they're making use of that ability immediately, installing Professional Contacts and Fan Site. So I guess seeing this in top 8 right off the bat, my mind goes to the deck, I believe it was Spags who posted it online, the Hayley Kaplan deck that uses like chameleons and artist colonies and stuff like that. And I think seeing the Proco and the Fan Site right off the bat kind of affirms that. John spending a couple clicks to draw up here. That clop most likely won't be used from Gerry in the bin, although a clone chip soon would not surprise me in the least bit. John continuing to gain benefit off those Turtlebacks and making more remotes that Gerry probably has no interest in wanting to go check, but we'll see that, I'm sure, at some point in the game. And this Hayley build here is so good with Proco. Proco is kind of Hayley's card. There's, of course, you can use Proco in pretty much any deck, and it's good. But being able to install 2 cards with 1 click after spending your entire turn drawing and getting money is really, really solid. So I expect that we will see Proco gain Gerry more than enough dollars during the course of the game. And especially in the early game, that's exactly what Gerry wants to see, so he can get set up a little bit. And I think that's another Fan Site in Gerry's hand. He's kind of drawing up a little bit, can't quite make out what that is, going with the same old thing, and Technical Writer for the credits. I think that's an R2D Interface that's in Gerry's hand. Looks like it is another Fan Site. I think that's an Aesop's, or that might be it's definitely an Aesop's, but yeah. So lots of stuff. Things in Gerry's hand, not a lot of events, because you can't use Hayley's ability if you play events, so why bother? And before John goes, rezzing a tech company to go install some stuff, which is going to give him even more credits from those Turtlebacks. Getting the Melange, which is really good. And oh man, so good. Using another tech trader, John going to get something else in his monster of a deck. Actually, I talked to John a little bit throughout the tournament, and this is a 54-card Industrial Genomics deck. I expect that means we'll see a Museum of History, at least one. I don't know why else you'd run 54 cards, but clearly doing some work here. John winning his first game in the top 8 against the 8th seed. John's actually first seed going into this tournament, winning against Alex in the first round here. Gerry, in case you didn't see the video, my last video, Gerry played against Raph and won clearly, but I encourage you to go check that game out. And John rezzing the Melange and using the Melange, starting to gain a pile of money here, which is super solid. It's, I think there's 2 cards face down. Even at 3 credits to go trash that Melange, you got to go for it. I think Gerry needs to put a little bit more pressure, because if John is able to Melange again here, gain 7 more credits, it puts Gerry in a really, really bad spot economically. John can continue, and especially John would just gain money and then make Melange and all of the other cards even harder to trash, or at least more expensive to trash. So if he can take that out here, take a little bit more proactive approach, I think that'd go super, super well. Yeah, there's 2 R2D interfaces in Gerry's hand, so he's probably trying to consider whether he wants to play that and play the net damage game against Jinteki, which is always a risky proposition. But good nonetheless. So here we go. We have him installing on click 3. There's the Artist Colony and the Aesops. So in case you don't actually know how this deck, how Gerry's the Hayley deck works, the plan is to draw a bunch, get a bunch of stuff, a bunch of resources, and you kind of actually want the corporation to score. So the fan site goes to your score area. Because once you do that, you have a tutor, an instant tutor, or a tutor that you can do mid-run that installs, and since you're Hayley, that means you get to install another cool program from your hand. So you effectively get all of the answers to your ice by allowing all of the answers to the corpse ice by allowing them to score. And knowing John as I do, I am betting he's well aware of how this deck works. He's a good friend with Spags, so I expect him to know what the plan of this deck is and how to play around it. The Industrial Genomics ability kind of puts pressure on Hayley from the start. From what I can recall, this Hayley deck doesn't necessarily run that rich, so the economic impact here of trying to trash any of these assets or any of these cards, I'm sure we'll see snares. There's probably one in John's hand already, probably a shock or two in archives already. But increasing or trying to trash those cards and make it safe for you to run is going to make Gerry pretty broke here. The cash it's cool actually. I really like the influence spent on cash in this deck. It gives you a couple of bucks. It's easy to install. It lets you get Technical Writer. It gives you a little bit more benefit from Aesops, and there you go. You see Gerry selling it off. So kind of a neat thing. And John was taking the time to draw up some more cards, make his stuff harder to trash even further, and icing up R&D, which was a really, really good play, even though Gerry has not played any of that R&D pressure as of yet. I don't even think Gerry has a icebreaker yet. So Gerry, that piece of ice, no matter what it is going to be a pain for Gerry to deal with right now. And continuing to dig and look for some answers here. I would have to imagine that now Gerry is looking for icebreakers, although I can't say for sure. Installing the Plascrete, so Gerry installs the R2D interface and the Plascrete with Hayley's ability, but I don't know why Gerry goes for the Plascrete here and then installs another R2D interface. That doesn't make sense to me. There isn't anything that I've seen that would lead me to believe that there's net damage in John's deck, and it basically, so you're wasting Hayley's ability to install the Plascrete. It's not like Gerry's getting a lot of Technical Writer. There's only the one, so you're still losing 2 credits, or you net lost 2 credits on the Plascrete. I think Gerry just doesn't know what to expect out of John's deck here, especially with Gerry or with John turtlebacking and melanging early game. My guess would be that Gerry's afraid that John is running a C Scorch combo out of Industrial Genomics, maybe kind of trying to wait until Gerry doesn't have cards. What? Is that a Chairman Hero? Is John playing a Chairman Hero? Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so Gerry runs archives, making things easier to trash, hitting the shocks, losing another Artist Colony and an Atman, which the Atman is exactly where John wanted, or where Gerry wanted it to be, I'm sure. So no real downsides to hitting it. But again, Gerry really needs to trash this melange. It's turned on John's entire economy. He can pretty much res anything he wants. Like, we know one of those assets is a hostile infrastructure, so there's 5 of his bucks, and I'm sure John is going to res that before Gerry actually gets any accesses, because more net damage is always good, especially when you're Jinteki. And we've already seen those shocks. I guarantee John plays snares. There's 54 cards in his deck. There's no reason not to. And Gerry just kind of moneying up, drawing some more cards a little bit, filling his hand back up. I'm sure he's going to look for more options going into the next turn. And John is just sitting back and evaluating. Board state-wise, we're in kind of an interesting spot. Gerry has his combo. If John scores something, if anything, if John scores an agenda here, Gerry then gets to have his tutors online, which I think would really, really turn on his deck right now. So by John actually slow playing this, and with a 54 card deck size, John genuinely might be looking for agendas here. I'm not really sure if his plan is to try and go for the kill or go for points, but seeing as we are, I don't know, we're probably 10 to 15 cards down in John's deck, and I'm not sure if we've seen any sort of agendas to be spoke of. So I'm not sure what John's goal is in piloting this deck, but John, oh God, John makes really good decks, and they're always so different and so interesting. He's not one to net deck too much. And, oh, so there we go. We get to see some influence. Gerry trying to hit R&D and seeing the Architect. Gerry does have the clone chip. He can go get Atman. And I saw the cash in his hand, so we might see the clone chip for the Atman, and then the cash to get some more money back, and then even more money back next turn. That seems pretty good, but I don't think Gerry can allow the Architect to fire, because it would probably net John money. And yeah, that's exactly what we're seeing. So in, clone chipping the Atman back and getting the cash in play is going to go pretty well for him. Then breaking the Architect. So not a whole lot of money. Gerry isn't going to be able to trash anything that he sees here. And seeing 3. Okay, so not seeing anything. So Gerry has seen a lot of cards. John might be just holding on to everything in his hand here. I don't think, maybe that last remote, could be an agenda. I suppose I wouldn't, I definitely wouldn't write that off as a possibility. But Gerry just running in and seeing those 3 cards is going to hurt. If John doesn't ice up or have some sort of response here soon, I think Gerry is going to be at a significant advantage moving forward, especially if John continues to draw up like he did early game when he was trying to set up. I think Gerry can just start wreaking havoc on R&D. John going with the Mushin. 3 cards face down, or 3 new card, 3 advancements. Pretty good. Pretty good. And John continuing to just kind of laugh behind his hand. I believe this was a run on... Yep, so Gerry just trying to poke around, get the free accesses while he can. This is a pretty dangerous game to play here, and John surprisingly not rezzing the hostile infrastructure here, which I feel like that was just that's a misplay here. John has to know that, well, obviously John knows that he has a snare in his hand. If Gerry wants to trash it, that becomes 4 net damage just to trash it. You know, so yeah, so right there, John able to get 3 cards, give Gerry the tag, which is good. But if that infrastructure is brought up, then Gerry's only has 1 card going into this point after click 1, and Gerry just procos up here. So it could, oh, and let's not rule out the possibility of that 3 advancement being a Ronin here. So I think if John did res the hostile infrastructure, it would have forced Gerry to draw up a little bit more, which is what Gerry did anyway. But it does kind of preclude, it wouldn't have won John the game from doing that. So like I had thought before, but still not a bad consideration here. I think it would have been helpful either way. and John installing advanced, daring Gerry to run on his remotes. I think Gerry's only actually made like 3 runs. He's made a run on each of the centrals, and the rest of his time has been spent building up and just getting ready. But I don't see why Gerry doesn't run R&D here. John's drawn 2 cards since Gerry saw it last. 2 credits for 2 new cards, but it keeps up the R&D lock, especially in the case where if Gerry was to see an agenda, now next turn John draws 1 card. Assuming he doesn't draw another one, Gerry can go back in next turn and see 2 new cards again. So I think Gerry's kind of releasing the gas a little bit here. He's trying to get his deck set up, but not. I don't know. I guess the reality of what I'm saying here is I don't believe Gerry knows enough about John's deck and has just kind of been like playing with the deck that he has, but it's caused him to make some misplays here. Again, I really don't agree with the Plascrete play. I think Gerry was just trying to make the most of his ability at one point. But he does get out the Artist Colony and another fan site and Technical Writer. So it's this game of this bluffing game. Gerry is daring John to score an agenda, and John is daring Gerry to run. But the problem here is that he's playing Jinteki, and John is showing net damage and kill. So if those advanced are Ronin here, John has 6 net damage that can swing any time. So it's very, very possible if Gerry doesn't run on one of these remotes here, that Gerry loses on his turn. I'm not sure if he's thinking about that at this point. He seems to be pretty devoted to running and going for R&D to check. This is really cool about Industrial Genomics once they have hostile infrastructure. Now to trash that Cerebral Overrider, it's going to cost a bunch of money and a card from his hand. But in seeing that Overrider, it does kind of make you wonder if those are Ronins or more Cerebral Overriders on the edge. But even going back to why you would play Overrider, playing the Cerebral Overrider here, to me, would signal that John plays Ronin. Because if you install Advance, the CI, or if you Mushin the CI, or Cerebral Overrider, not CI, but if you Mushin or whatever, you're making it easy to go for the kill. So even if you just install Advance and the runner hits the Cerebral Overrider, John can res a Ronin in the Neural EMP and he's dead. So it's a kill combo thing here, and I just don't think Gerry's respecting the net damage enough in this game and is too focused on meat damage. And I'm not sure if Gerry's deck even has a meat damage prevention, but John resing the Ronin, this might be it right here. So John resing the Ronin, let's see if no, I've had worse, and going for another res, and there's the other Ronin. So in the end, it does come down to those net damage kills, and a lot of people are thinking Jinteki is dead, but here you go, Industrial Genomics, 54 card Industrial Genomics, going so far in the top 8. I have a lot more action coming up for you, and there were no duplicate IDs in top 8 in this tournament, so I got a lot of cool new stuff coming up soon. Thank you very much for watching. Catch you on the next one.